Hi everybody, good morning. How are you? It's Friday and it's Joy here and I'm with Jody Vermillion today. Jody is one of our BCBAs here in Central Illinois at the Champaign Clinic. And I asked Jody to come join me today because every year about this time, parents start asking us about helping their children prepare for Halloween, right? That happens every year about this time, October hits. And Jody's done this a lot. How long have you been working with, basically with ABA?
For about
12 years.
13 years.
So, you know, Jody's an expert at helping children with behaviors and any kinds of resistance they might have to some of the costumes and different things that we all want our kids to participate in. So I gathered up a bunch of fun things today that, you know, are just different alternatives that you might consider. And I thought Jody could help me to kind of walk through things that we could do at home to help our children slowly but surely adjust to some of these ideas. And if they won't, then some alternatives that will work just as well.
Yep.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
Awesome, great. So I started out with traditional things. So like Batman mask with the Batman costume, which is something that would probably be in this year. It's kind of popular.
Always.
Can we talk through? And then also I got a little bit of a softer version. This one goes over the head and around the neck. This is a PJ mask.
Might be more comfortable.
More comfortable. So this is a harder one. Could you talk through maybe though a little bit how we might start that process of working through?
Yeah, so I would start this process sooner rather than later. So today is a great day. So if you have a kiddo that is a little bit resistant to getting dressed, maybe they have some sensory aversions to clothing items that may not feel very good, then what you can start with is just maybe one part of the costume at a time, and maybe only for a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes at a time, and work your way up to longer and longer durations as they become more comfortable to those items.
So like putting this maybe just
so maybe taking the mask and putting it just on top of their head like a hat, just to be silly. Or maybe instead of wrapping the band around their head completely, you just put it up to their face like this. It'd be fun to get a mirror involved so they could see what they look like. You know, be silly about it, make silly faces.
Show them the picture.
Show them the picture. If they really already do like Batman, then maybe that is a motivator for them to dress up like him. If you have siblings at home, get them involved. Have them be silly with the costumes as well. A lot of times the peer modeling is a great way to incorporate some motivation for that kiddo as well. So and
then we have like another option, not so much the mask, but just the hat. This is Super Mario, and just the you know, the little hat on top and the mustache. So like you said, if they just slowly but surely putting the hat on, maybe getting siblings involved. If you want to dress up like Mario.
Yeah, maybe do some role playing, pretend you are Mario,
Pac-Man,
and run around the house with that on, doing some pretend play.
That sounds fun.
So just work your way up to, you know, first doing the hat, and if they're cool with that, then maybe try the mustache. And then, you know, work your way up to then maybe just putting the shirt on. And then once they tolerate that, then the full-on costume.
That's great. Awesome. Super. And then also, so like along those lines, just the pirate hat, once again, you know, maybe you wear it. Do you like to wear it?
You bet.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe if they're not, if they are resistant to costumes, in general, you've tried the best you can to, you know, work on that desensitization then maybe just go simple and just have them wear a hat. So that they could at least be a part of the traditional Halloween fun, but on a simple level.
And even, you know, maybe if not the hat, Halloween t-shirts, right?
Easy. It feels just like any other shirt that they would probably wear.
Right. Yeah, and they don't even have to, you know, you could take them out and they just are like, oh, look at your little pumpkin, you know. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And then another thing I found that I thought was kind of, if they won't do anything at all, and we kind of talked a little bit about combining these two, just face paint and hairspray, colored hairspray, you know, so that you got both those things. I mean, how would you play around with the hairspray? Do you think, is that something that they might have an issue with, or?
It's always possible, but, you know, you could always, there tends to be less rules when it comes to, your days closer to Halloween. So if they go to school with some green streaks in their hair, because you want to practice that ahead of time, I'm sure that's probably going to be okay.
Yeah, it's going to be fine this time of year. It's great.
Or practice it on the weekend, and they can wash it out if they really have an issue with it. Again, you know, use yourself, use your siblings if you have those at home, to do the same thing. And if they see, oh, that's not so bad, they're, you know, tolerating it pretty well, then maybe your kiddo might start to pick up on that and be more willing to give it a try themselves.
I found a lot of these too. By the way, I got these at Walmart. So, but little headbands. So this is a little headband of a unicorn, which guys and gals both just love this time of year. And it has a bow tie, which I think the bow tie might be a little questionable around the neck, but you know, you could work on it. But then it has a little tail. And you know, the tail could be something that could be attached to clothing for fun, and then just working on the headband. I thought that sounded like fun. Yeah.
Another way to keep it simple, but also have them feel like they can be a part of it.
Yeah. And then this was super wacky, but I just thought, I know a lot of our kids really like dragons, and this is a dragon that can sit on their shoulder. And, you know, they can act like it's their pet, and it's kind of hard and squishy. So, I mean, just for the sensitized, you know, the sensory feeling, it's kind of fun. Yeah.
They can pretend it's their pet.
Yeah, my pet dragon. I like that one a lot. Yeah. Well, so Jody, you would suggest starting now?
Yes.
First.
So you have a few weeks to prepare. You know, any desensitization process will always take a little bit of time. So you'll want to start sooner rather than later. Like I keep saying, definitely get your other kids involved. Practice just doing trick-or-treating within the house. Have your other kids behind a closed door, and then take your kiddo and teach them the sequence of knocking on the door, and then their brother or sister opens the door, you know, prompt them to say trick or treat or something silly like that, and then have that sibling put a candy in their bucket, and just practice that a couple of times every night until it's Halloween, and that would be some really great exposure and practice for them to get ready for the big day. And then another trick that you could do is, if you have some friendly neighbors who kind of understand your situation a little bit better, you could also take it a step further and take them to your neighbor. Maybe give them a handful of candy so you're not depleting their supply.
They need to use their candy up.
But practice it so that it's more similar to the way it would be at Halloween. You're probably going to hit your neighbors up first anyway.
Right.
So if they can, you know, tolerate that next step and actually walking next door and doing that whole sequence of steps, then that would be a great way to practice these skills outside.
And then the books, the storybooks.
So another great way to incorporate the whole trick or treat sequence of actions is to do a
picture story.
Yeah, but I'm blanking on the name.
Yeah, I know, me too. But you put together first
social story.
Social story.
Yes,
there we go. It's Friday.
So put together a social story, or I'm sure if you Google it, there's many versions out there already, and maybe you can modify it to your more specific needs if you need to. And just read them a story about other kids doing trick-or-treating. I know there's a lot of cutesy little videos of, their favorite characters from their TV shows having Halloween types of episodes. That video modeling is another great way to have them start to understand the whole components of Halloween.
I think as a parent too, at the end of the day, what I see a lot happening is parents' expectations are way up here for what's going to be happening, and that sometimes the child can sense the anxiety and what's going on. Why is this such a big deal? I think if you can do your best to just downplay your expectations and just say, oh, hey, on this date, circle it on the calendar. Oh, we get to go out and get candy and go see our friends. And, but just really try that if everything falls apart that day, and it might, that's okay. There's always next year,
Yep. And if you can get to, maybe your goal is 5 houses.
Yeah, exactly.
Then that's still a win. If you can get an extra adult helper with you.
Yeah.
Maybe you have other kids that might get frustrated by going home early. Well, maybe you split up at that point. Maybe the other adult takes your other kids to continue trick-or-treating, but then you're still available to take that kiddo back home and just kind of start the whole relaxing bedtime routine.
And if all else fails and none of this stuff, one of the things that we've seen on social media is the blue pumpkins. And you can get these at Walmart for $1. It's kind of getting out there that if a child comes to your door and they're carrying a blue pumpkin, then that means that they have autism, and they might be 6 feet tall, but to them, trick-or-treating is still important. And I personally think that's lovely. It's a lovely gesture for people to be able to include all children in what is really, for me, I think it's a fun and a holiday I always looked forward to. And I know as a parent, it's fun watching your children enjoying it too. Even if you have to give away half the candy the next day because you don't want it in your house.
Or eat it yourself.
Or eat it yourself. There you go.
Another little trick, if you think your kiddo's gonna get really tired, it is kind of getting to be a late night with a lot of chaos. So maybe to extend, if your goal is 5 houses but you want to shoot for more, maybe walking from house to house is kind of could be unrealistic. So try pulling them in a wagon.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Down the street. And then that way they can just hop out and walk up to the house from the sidewalk. And then you can just plop them back in the wagon and drag them on to the next house.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. And you get your exercise too. You're ready for that candy. So
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
Yeah. Well, so I think we've shared a lot today, and I really appreciate all your thoughts and your experience. And I hope that if you're one of our clients and you would like to, let your therapist know that you'd like to work on some of these skills, I'm sure that there'll be a lot of posts too in Parent Academy, our Facebook page about ways that you can collect data and prepare. In this month's parent newsletter, I'll be writing we'll have articles specifically about not just Halloween, but all the upcoming holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, Kwanzaa, all the different things that are coming up. So gosh, there's, so many things in the next 3 months that we're going to be facing. So be on the lookout for that newsletter coming out around the middle of this month. And we just appreciate you tuning in, and let us know if you have any questions or anything else we can do for you. Have a happy Friday. Thank you.
Thanks.